which I find kind of disappointing. I assume that's a V1
Oh, come
thing.
on, Todd. That means you write more PowerShell. You're
Well, and
happy.
I do.
Happy.
A world with more PowerShell is a good world, Todd.
Nice
Well, now
try. Are we ready? It's March 4th, 2026, and we are going to talk about SharePoint's 25th anniversary. The celebration just happened the other day. This is the Sympraxis crew. We are missing Derek and Patrick and Mark Cashman, who are all out doing other things, probably fun things. That's good for them. Today we're going to sort of, yay for SharePoint. We'll probably share anecdotes as we're going. I know Todd has some. Putting him on the spot. And then we'll go through some of the announcements that happened at the 25th anniversary sort of webinar that happened the other day. We'll go through those announcements. We'll talk quickly about the SharePoint Hackathon, which is going on now. And if you have any questions, you have any comments, you want to come off mute, you can use that raise hand feature and ask questions or just interact with us. Happy to have you do that. If not, let's move forward. So SharePoint at 25, 1 billion users each year. I feel like I should do the 1 billion users each year. Over 2 billion files uploaded, 2 million SharePoint sites created every day. I have to wonder, of those 2 million SharePoint sites created every day, how many of them need to then be deleted?
How many are real?
0? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry, there's a
How many do you think are
policy in
somebody
place.
just creating a planner
Yeah,
and they don't actually know that they did
all
that?
of those things too, as well, right? Yeah. So, it's a lovely number. It's probably 1/100th of that, or maybe used, maybe. Anyway,
let's hope that's not the case. One of the things that I thought was a little bit of a bummer about the call on Monday, Jeff started out talking about how wonderful the community was and their cakes and all this stuff, and there wasn't enough celebration.
I agree.
The fact that SharePoint has been around for 25 years in pretty much its current form is amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah, and still relevant.
Our careers have hung on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was expecting more party and less future announcement stuff. And
I
was
like, how did we get here, and kind of the
some shots of the
things.
old UI, things like that. More pictures of us when we were younger.
Feel free, Todd. Reminisce down memory lane.
Well,
Nope. We don't have time. Never mind.
I've told my my origin story before, but I remember the first time I saw SharePoint was at one of the Microsoft Exchange conferences back in the old days. I was an Exchange admin, and I remember seeing the preview for Tahoe at the time and thinking it was just like nobody will use this. Like, this is dumb. There's no point in this product, and here I am 25 years later still talking about it. But I kind of stumbled into it. I had to set up a website for some stuff internally at a company I worked at, and SharePoint 2001 came on the Office XP CD, and I just I'd seen it at MEC, and I had no other I have no web building skills, and so I set the SharePoint site up and had made it a list, and it looked great and it was easy for people to use. And then a couple years later, we made a product that sat on top of SharePoint 2003. And the development folks were like, we've got this product, but we need somebody to run the back end. And my boss is like, I've got a SharePoint expert. And that's been me for the last 25 years.
That's how it goes for almost everyone who practitioners in this. They were assigned to it or fell into it or were, it feels like the case. Yeah. All right. Well, if we're done with memory lane, let's talk about announcements. AI in SharePoint. Carrie, I'm sure you're thrilled about AI in SharePoint.
Theory,
Carrie in a box.
It all sounds great, but all of these things, it's like to be seen, right? So in the live stream, there were a bunch of new features, I should say, announced. The first being that SharePoint will soon allow you to sort of prompt to site, and what it looks like that means is that part of that new build experience that you'll see on the left there is that you'll be able to describe the site that you want to create and use sort of plain language in a prompt and just sort of ask SharePoint to help you structure that and create the site. And so, this is where the in theory comes in, right? Like if the traditional method is, go to create site, pick a template, what kind of site do you need, add your pages, your library, your metadata. If you can shortcut that, I think that would be fantastic, but obviously we have to see how that kind of goes. So again, the goal will be that you can prompt those things, and SharePoint will propose suggestions for those site components, and then with your refinements, we'll actually go ahead and create the site and those pages and all those elements. So
I'm of two minds about this. I have, my one side is that I think this is actually leaps and bounds better than the templates, because if you just pick a template, you get a bunch of stuff, you have no idea what that stuff is, and you kind of have to go spelunking to sort of figure out what it is that it did create, and you don't really have any ownership of it at all, what it was called, anything. It's there and great. This, based on the picture and what little we know about it, feels more like, hey, I'm going to tell you kind of what I need and then refine so that it is more in line with what I hoped to achieve when I started this process. And that does feel good. However, from a maturity model perspective, we're hoping to lead people to building good information architecture, having governance in their tenant, and all of the things that we as Sympraxians sort of help people get to, like what their goals are. And then this feels like it can create a situation where people think they're doing the right thing and building new sites in a tenant, but missing all the IA goodness, because as we understand it today, none of this site building is going to take any advantage of, content types built in the content type hub, or any of the taxonomy that was built, or any of those things that are built more at an enterprise level to help your organization. So that's sort of my take on this.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, to the templates, just what you said, Julie, then you've got a bunch of stuff you've got to delete. It's like you almost don't know what's there. So if you can direct it more clearly at the onset of, like, I need a collaborative space, and so maybe it's registering teams, maybe it needs to connect to teams, maybe I need some tracking of projects, there's an issues list. So it's just more customized, I think, to what you get with what you just see visually in that template. You're like, that looks great. You have no idea what you kind of got on the back end. So
yeah, 100%.
I may or may not be able to confirm nor deny that I have ever put my hands on this actual functionality. I think it's a great way for people to express what they need and get ideas, right? Like, it's in this picture is or isn't what it actually might or might not look like, but there's a page, a list, a document library, the other one, another document library. Based on your needs, it's actually giving you a plan. This is a plan, not the site itself. So if you want some guidance as to what it is you will want to build in order to meet your needs, I think that is really cool. That's like talking to Carrie and saying, these are the things I want this site to do, and Carrie saying, oh, well, then you'll need a document library, and you'll need a list, and you'll need this page, a couple of pages. That's cool.
Yeah.
The fact
even
that
just to visualize it, is helpful. Yeah.
And this little experience right here is very similar to what happens in there's a sort of similar AI experience in Power Automate, or is it Power Apps? One of you has probably seen it. Does sort of the same thing. It shows you sort of these are the piece parts that you want, and you may want to go in this direction. Oh, do you want me to make that for you? So I think, like a lot of the stuff that AI does, I would encourage people to think about this as a way to get ideas, a way to see a good starting point, and then go and do it the right way. Meaning all the stuff that Julie just said, hook it into your enterprise IA, make sure you're using content types, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. This needs to be able to do that, in my mind, for it to be I'll just ask for a site and it's going to be exactly what I want.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. All right. Moving on, Mark, you want to start
Yes.
on the
What do you want?
SharePoint
Oh.
UI refresh thing?
Yes.
Well, fine. If you're going to be that way, I'm going to give the whole thing to Todd. So just,
Yay!
No, not that.
Anything but that.
Watch it, mister.
All right. So, by the way, Zava is the new Contoso.
Oh, yes.
And let's
everything.
pour out I miss Contoso. Zava just doesn't have the
AdventureWorks.
Hey,
yeah.
I was an AdventureWorks fan. I mean, that was a good one.
AdventureWorks. Yeah, what was the other one? Woodgrove. All of those. Tradewinds. Yeah.
Yes. Tradewinds database. Oh my God.
boy.
Yes.
Yep. So those were all good. Like Zava and Relic Cloud, I just can't. They have no soul to me. I just can't get into them. Can't get invested into them like I am with Contoso.
Oh, we go way back. We worked at Contoso for years together.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, Zava is a thing. So the new when they talk about a SharePoint UI refresh, one of the things and sort of the main thing they're talking about is the new what has been called the app bar. I don't know that they've changed the name, but it's still over there on to the left of your screen. Depends on how you're looking at it. So you'll have your, sort of the top one, Zava, that takes you to your home site, basically, if you have one. So if you don't, that might not even be there. Think of that as the connection to Viva Connections, what has been Viva Connections. We've got Discover, which is actually what you're used to seeing in your app bar that shows you your sites, your files, your news, and one other thing I can't remember. And then there's Publish and Build, and I'll talk a little bit more about the distinction between those two. And then because it's sort of random and doesn't make much sense, there's also a link there for OneDrive. That's it. That's the UI refresh.
Well,
the people in Redmond have decided.
There's some CSS changes though that are really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's unfortunateness to this. This to me feels like a little bit of cheese moving for not clear what the purpose is.
Yeah.
Because if you think of the different roles that people have within an organization, I'm not sure this maps to the roles that I typically see in the organizations that I work with. Discover doesn't feel like the word. Nobody says, I think I'll go discover things today in SharePoint. Where's the get my shit done button? So we'll have to see how it plays out. But that's sort of the high level. Next slide. Okay. So, like I said, Discover sort of replaces what used to be the SharePoint homepage and what was on the left. I'm sorry, the app bar is probably still on the app bar in your tenant. There is a toggle down at the bottom for this that will roll out initially to see, it'll let you use the new UI or the old UI, and that means that you're expressing your opinion of what you find helpful. So the idea here is that Discover, if you look at it carefully, it sort of morphs a bunch of stuff together. The SharePoint homepage, what used to be the office.com homepage, which has been taken away from us, we get redirected to that Copilot-driven UI, and the stuff that was in the app bar. So in theory, this is the how do I get my stuff done button. If you need that to, if you need an entry point like this to get into your work, I think this is the place. Good morning, Kevin. Here are the files you've been working on. Here are the sites you've been to recently. Here are updates for your coworkers. So it's sort of a good landing page to help you get moving for your day.
Global menu is gone. I don't know what that means.
Who says
Somebody said, so the global menu is gone.
Yeah,
so on
what that means.
On that app bar, there used to be a global. We're not using it, but there used to be like a global menu you can do.
Yes.
So is it gone?
Well, it's that Zava Home. The one that, if you go back a slide, Julie. That little home logo, that still does the same thing. Global navigation hangs off of that.
Oh, okay.
There's just not an example. They underemphasize that. That's where at least we traditionally have the home site's hub site nav is the global nav that you would get when you click that home, if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Cool. All
Okay.
right, moving
Next one.
forward. Yes.
Now we have publish. Now, I struggle with this distinction between publish and build. What's the difference? Am I building things am I building a page? Am I publishing a page? So the distinction as Microsoft is defining it is that when the publish is where you're creating page, news posts, campaigns, there are analytics there to help you understand how those things are going. You'll see a different set of stuff there, like campaigns would only be visible if you have a license for Viva Amplify.
Yeah.
Amplify, that's it.
Yep, well done.
Pulled that one out of my left ear. So you'll see different opportunities there based on what you're licensed to do, what you can publish. In a sense, it sort of almost makes sense to me a little bit that you're creating containers of content from here and seeing how it's working. And you see that you can jump back into things. You can look at saved templates. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but it sounds interesting. And then the recent section down below would seem very analogous to the jump back in.
Wouldn't saved templates be news templates? News page templates? I say this as if I have any friggin' clue what I'm saying.
I mean, possibly. I mean,
this is not my area.
There's a new page template UI coming out. They just changed it like 4 months ago, so I'm not sure what's going to change again. But that just came out in the message center this week, I think. Julie, we were talking about maybe that would be a good thing to do a session about. So we're gonna have to see how this plays out. Some of these things, you don't really know how it's going to work for you until you see how it works. But a little more customization here based on your role, which can't be a bad thing, and an ability to jump back into things that you have recently published. The next one is build. So build, to me, again, doesn't make total sense, but this is more where you create the containers into which you publish things.
That's how I split up, because it feels like they took the create button that we've got now and kind of split it in half. And that's kind of how I saw it. One builds containers, one builds items. Yeah. Those containers.
The thing that I struggle with both publish and build is that they are not destination based. They are create, then put somewhere. That to me always feels backwards. I want to go to the HR site and then create a page, as opposed to creating a page and then saying it goes in the HR site.
I just feel like it's a shift that will create confusion and mispublishing, like putting something where it's not supposed to belong is what I was trying to say. That I was I mean, we've had doing.
And we've had some sort of over the last year or so, we've had some back and forths that some of you have seen because it's been publicly released stuff. Like you were able to create a page that didn't actually, it went into your OneDrive. That I don't even know if that's still there. It's like they rolled it out and it was like big deal. We all panicked about it, and I'm not even sure if it's still there. So we'll have to sort of see how this goes. But that sort of publish and build distinction may or may not hit with your end users. Again, I don't think that's the way people who actually use the product think. We'll have to see how that translates. And then, of course, agents is another big thing here, because you're all going to create a billion agents, right? That's all of the people who have Copilot licenses are creating agents like crazy.
But also, people might just ignore these two buttons entirely, right? Because you can still do it the old way. You can go to the container and create the news item or, whatever you need to do. So
I do think it's sort of a bummer, because we've we've struggled to get people to pay attention to the app bar for as long as it's been there. And I sort of felt like we were getting traction on that over the last year or so. And now it's going to look different. So
yep,
we'll see how it goes.
Yep. I love Ami is saying that the agent one is grayed out if you don't have the Copilot license. I love how it's not there for almost everything else, but if it's got to do with Copilot, we're just going to gray it out, not take it away.
Yeah, you're going to see that Copilot logo in even more places.
Yes,
yes. Encouraging you to beg for licensing.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Well, let's move on to the Todd show. Go ahead, Todd. Let's hear about the
Copilot
agent.
Yeah. So this is a thing. They actually announced this, I think, a couple of months ago, but they re-announced it, and it looks like they rejiggered some things on Monday. But as an admin, this kind of caught my attention. So this is a specific agent that lights up, and the documentation says if anybody in your organization has a Copilot license, then this will light up for the SharePoint admins. The SharePoint admin themselves doesn't need to have a Copilot license. So I'm curious how all that's going to work. I don't have that exact scenario in any of my tenants, so I've been able to test that. But this is one of those things that should show up if you're a SharePoint admin and somebody's got a license. And it's the ability to do SharePoint admin-y things, but in real natural language. One of the videos that I watched, they were like, in your favorite language. Well, that seems like kind of an odd way to say it. But so that's kind of what this is. Now they've got some ideas on this front page here of things you can look at, the prioritized suggestions. One of the things I wanted to mention is they're really hitting the 3 R's of governance: the relevance, readiness, and resilience. I don't know that anybody ever thinks of administration like this, but I bring this up because this is one of those things that if you know how Microsoft is pushing the product, that gives you an idea how they're designing it. And so you can kind of see what ideas they're throwing into there. So for relevance, they're looking at stuff like showing content distribution, like how big your sites are, things like that. Storage is one of the skills that falls into that. Find growing sites, find inactive sites so you know what to archive, things like that. It can archive sites for you. You can tell it to do that, and it will do that. For the most part, this admin agent can't do anything. It just tells you things. It just reports only, and then you have to do its own actions, which I find kind of disappointing. I assume that's a V1
Oh, come
thing.
on, Todd. That means you write more PowerShell. You're
Well, and
happy.
I
You're
do.
happy.
A world with more PowerShell is a good world, Todd.
Nice
Well,
try.
that was part of my my discontent with this. Was they were talking about how you can use this agent, you won't have to write scripts anymore, which I don't think of as a good thing. I think of that as a step backwards. But the other thing was you'll still have to write scripts to do things, and so it doesn't take you out of that. And so that was the relevance, was just having good content in there so that your AI and your search works out well. Readiness, this is the idea of permissions and oversharing. So you can do things like you can ask it, do I have any sites that are overshared? Do I have any sites that are shared externally? Things like that. Resilience is all about security, recoverability, and scalability. So things like, do I have things locked down the way that I want? It can give you ideas if you get hit with malware. It can give you ideas on how to recover from that. It talks about versioning and backup and stuff like that. Again, a good V1, but the fact that it can't take any action when it reports things, and you can't even export things, which I was kind of disappointed with. In a lot of those screens, it will give you a list of sites that are overshared or give you a list of sites that have storage, but you can't do anything with it. You got to copy it out as text, and it was kind of...
Yeah, that's actually kind of a bummer, because then even if you do have to write a script, you'd have a source, right?
Right.
Easily created source, excuse me.
Exactly. So let's see the next slide.
Hey.
So this was a list that they had of things that you can do, the pre-built skills that it's, and again, I bring this up because this is the things that it's going to do well. This is the way that Microsoft is engineering the product. So oversharing risks, explaining causes. Again, it describe the fix, but it can't actually do it for you, which again, I feel like is so close to actual getting work done. Inactive sites, things like that. storage management. So I kind of like that. It talks a little bit about, you can find your big sites. You can do things like you can ask it where people are at and whether their stuff should be moved to different multi-geo sites. That was kind of an interesting thing. I don't work with a lot of multi-geo customers, so that was something I hadn't thought about. That was an interesting thing. It will go into Entra ID and say this person's in a European office, their stuff should be moved to a European site. That was pretty interesting. So next slide.
Well, the next slide is about the hackathon. So that I will take for everyone, and we will wrap it up here. So the SharePoint Hackathon happened last year as well. It's a multi-week event this year from the 2nd to the 16th. So it's already started, but essentially what it is it's a set of, not daily, but multiple webinars that happen across this timeline, as well as the ability for all types of users, so end users, designers, architects, developers, whatever type of user you are in the space, to be able to submit into categories to win an award. So there's categories for, well, they're on the screen, but best organized library using Knowledge Agent. So that'll be interesting considering, well, whatever. Okay, I'm going to be nice and not say anything negative.
Considering this litany of things that bother Julie.
Exactly, and I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going. Best use of agents with SharePoint, designs utilizing out-of-the-box features. That's a cool one. UX extensible experience with SharePoint frameworks, close to my heart, and I've already seen the preview of Stefan Bauer's submission, and I'm going to tell you it's pretty freaking awesome. Integration scenarios with SharePoint embedded, and more. So they have, like I said, they have hour-long webinars all throughout this event. We've missed all the ones for this week have finished, but there's 4 next week on the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then on the 25th, they're going to announce the winners in all the categories, and we'll see what see who wins and what cool things people have built. So that is a great event. If you want to get involved in that link right there, that should be clickable on your screen, will take you to the GitHub repo that shows you all the details. Mark, did you have something you wanted to add?
I think it's important to point out, it sounds as if it's, hackathon makes it sound like you've got to be a propeller head. You really don't.
Hey,
I mean, you can be an end user and still build something really interesting, and the valuable cash and prizes are still available. This is about making SharePoint do things that are fascinating. It doesn't have to be code driven. It can be any kind of user coming up with something to highlight during this couple of weeks. So don't be discouraged if you see too many acronyms there that you don't recognize. It's the list is longer, and they tend to highlight the more technical things, but this is not something that's only open to technical people.
Yep, and to answer the question in the chat, they will be announcing the winners on March 25th at 4 p.m. UTC time or 9 a.m. Pacific time. They have a live webinar, and they will go through and award the winners in each category. So that is how that is going to happen. All right, we have some resources, obviously, so sharing those, and you will be able to get those from the website later if you need them. And then coming up, March 18th is our next session, Intranet Governance Site. So that will be our next conversation, and I would hope you would all join us again. If you want to join us live, we're going to be at the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. That's in Orlando at the end of April. We have a discount code Simpraxis for that if you'd like to join us there. We'll also be in force at the European Collaboration Summit. That is in Cologne, Germany in the beginning of May. We have a discount code for that one as well. Todd's going to be at Techorama, and a bunch of us are going to be at TechCon 365 in Chicago, and that's in mid-June. So lots of places to see us. We'd love for you to say hi if you're at one of these events and we're around. Otherwise, we will see you on March 18th for Intranet Governance Site. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Ask Simpraxis. We love getting your questions or session ideas. You can submit by using the link in About. If you find this helpful, hit that like or subscribe button and share this content with your colleagues.